Yo, what up, y'all? Coach RT3 here, and welcome to the fourth episode of Live with Coach RT3. This week's guest, we have Quincy France out of NYC. About to add him to the chat here. Quincy's out in New York, and I haven't had quite an opportunity to meet my brother. And there he is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Man, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to finally have a chance to chat with you. Um, we've just been pretty much social media connected
Yeah,
for quite a while.
definitely.
Um, but I was just gonna let you tell people, more about who you are and what you do out in New York. I know from my perspective or whatnot, when I started out with Rev Fit and became a people's trainer, I kept hearing about Quincy. Quincy, man, you gotta meet Quincy. So, you know, it's really good to finally have a chance to chat with you and find out more about what it is you do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and once you get back to New York in February, we're gonna definitely meet in person. I had a lot of running around to do the last time you were here. Everybody knows me as Q. I've been around the calisthenics world for almost since the very start of it all, and
Hmm.
it's like kind of like my claim to fame and what I'm known for. But I've been around
Hmm.
fitness my entire life. Like I got into calisthenics just because it was something I naturally did since I was very young. Well, I always had family
Hmm.
members that were into sports, so doing push-ups and pull-ups and stuff like that, and running and things like that was just second nature.
So, I mean, obviously New York is like the birthplace of calisthenics. And I mean, my earliest, I guess, exposure to calisthenics was uh, videos by like calisthenics kings and things like that that used to pop up on YouTube. Um, so I'm completely unfamiliar with like the calisthenics history, as a whole, so like how did it really kind of proliferate and get to where it's gotten to today?
Well, my start with it, interestingly enough, was I I just was hanging out with my son on the weekends like usual, and I did a video at a park in Queens where I hopped from one bar to the next bar and just put it up on YouTube. That's when YouTube was really, really popular. And I posted it
Right.
on YouTube, and immediately, you see the links. I mean, the related videos.
Right.
So that introduced me to like bartenders and the
Hmm.
barbarians, and I was very interested in it. And I was like, I know these places where these
Right.
videos are taken, so I'm gonna go to these parks and actually try to see if I could meet these people. In the process, I met an old
Hmm.
friend, George Richards, who is actually the leader of Calisthenic Kings. And me and him grew up in the same building, in the same neighborhood in the Bronx. And he saw me one day, and I told him I could do a muscle up, and he goes, "You're on the team." And I'm like, "What team are you talking about?" I'm like, "There's teams. What do you mean team?" And he introduced me to Calisthenic Kings. At that time, we had about 7 members, and we would literally just get in our Calisthenic King shirts. We would go to different parks, different gyms, and just show off and just do a couple tricks,
Wow.
get everybody's attention, let them know where to find us. Make a couple videos, put them on YouTube. And it was just that constant traveling around, meeting different people, and just literally just showing off and just introducing the world to what we do, the creativity and everything else.
Right.
But it all started with that first YouTube video that I saw.
That's crazy. So I mean, I remember all those videos because I used to look at them like, man. And so I mean, you might have been in some of them. I don't even know. You probably were in some of them,
Yeah,
which
I
is
have, I
which is
have,
also pretty crazy.
I have a completely different look now than I did then. Most people wouldn't even recognize me then. I had glasses, I had
Okay.
braids.
Oh
no
man.
beard.
Oh
Yeah.
man, completely different.
So
Yeah, I
like
mean,
I'll
I
meet
didn't have a
people.
beard either back then.
Yeah. So I'll meet people, and this happened a couple times. I'll meet people, and somebody say, "Yo, I remember there was this guy named Q," and I'm looking at him like, "Describe him to me." He used to wear glasses, and he had braids. I'm like, "Yeah, that was me." Yeah, that was
That's
definitely me.
that's crazy. I mean, I used to so I used to go on YouTube and just watch these videos and just marvel at them because um, I was not. I mean, I was never really big into pull-ups in general. So, seeing people do pull-ups, that explosively and that control and with that amount of strength, I was like, man, I don't even know where to start to even get to that level. So, how did you guys manage to deliver that to people? I mean, to people who are just onlooking and being like, man, I want to do that, but how do I get there?
I think part of it back then was each team's or each individual's individuality. So
Hmm.
everybody from every team or every individual person had a move or signature move of theirs that was theirs. Like, you recognize it and you like, this person does that, this person does this. So immediately when I started with Calisthenics Kings, he was like, look, I'm going to start doing this handstand thing. You can do it if you want to, but I'm mastering this. And I'm in my mind, I'm like,
Hmm.
you know what? Handstands is his thing. I need to have my own thing. So
Hmm.
I try to do like explosive things because when I saw a video of Beast, Lord Vital from Beast Mode, do what he called the elevator from the pull-up bar to actually the top of the apparatus, I thought that was the greatest move ever. Because before I saw that move,
Hmm.
any video I saw anywhere, YouTube, anywhere, I could learn. I was able to learn that move, whatever move they did, pretty simply. But that
Hmm.
move to me was probably one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. So I went to that park one morning and I stayed there until I got that move. So I put it in my head. I'm like, you know what? I need to create a move that somebody
Right.
else is gonna watch and have that same feeling. Like, you know what? I thought I was doing something until I saw that.
Right.
So that was like my whole the game plan from the start, just that individuality and sparking people's attention. When you see a video, you don't want to see the same thing over and over again. You want to see
Right.
something that's impressive or inspires
Yeah.
you to do more than you're already doing, or to contact these people and learn it.
Like, do you guys do like group training? Do you guys do like, like if so, is it kind of like parkour in a way where like, people just show up and you kind of just play around with ideas and concepts, or is it, more structured? Like you come into the park today, we got a specific goal, we're looking at a specific outcome for today's, work, or, how does that look?
I think um, I think each team approaches it differently, but it all
Hmm.
starts off with fundamentals. Most teams and most people realize that all of these things, all these different moves, and all starts with your core strength, like your inner strength and what you're able to do naturally. So starting from the grounds up is the way to go. But of course, you have
Hmm.
younger people that immediately show up and they'll do a muscle up, learn a muscle up in like 2 weeks or something like that, and that's all they'll do, and then wind up getting injured, and then they have to start from the bottom again. So in most
Hmm.
cases, like I said, I'm old school when it comes to this whole calisthenics thing. We would either
Hmm.
meet up in one location, different groups, or like my team, which is called Brotherhood in the Bronx. I would like somebody would lead the workout. So we'd start
Hmm.
off with a warm up, and then do a circuit of pull ups, dips, push ups, squats, whichever it was. Or we just decide, you know what, we're gonna do set routines that we have that day. But it all
Hmm.
starts off with the warm up, and we'll do the workout, which will usually take about an hour. After that hour, then we could try advanced moves. We could try handstand push-ups, different things, and then guys might try some freestyle moves like 360s and things like that. But
Hmm.
it's always the goal to get one solid hour of real work, functional movement, and a nice, decent warm up and a cool down before you pretty much play and have fun.
Hmm. So, and that's pretty good to hear, or I mean, good to hear, but at the same time, that's pretty intimidating because I'm like, man, after an hour, I'm ready to be. I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys later. I'm done.
And
What
then
you
it
mean
is,
play? Play
yeah,
now?
it's funny too because like we would get like some fans of ours that would come to our park. Like we had a group of guys from Sweden come into town, and
Hmm.
they hit us up on Facebook and Instagram and everything else, and we're like, we're coming in town. We'd like to work out with you guys. We was like, absolutely, just come out. So they get to the park. They don't know the routine, how we go about things. So they get to the park. They immediately climb the highest obstacle in the park, and they start doing handstands and handstand push-ups and planks and everything else. So I walk over and I just like, come down. Let's do this workout first. So they're like, okay. And they get through the workout and they're dying. They're going through and sweating. One of them is like throwing up in the garbage. And then we're like, all right, so workout's done. You ready to go play now? You want to do that handstand again? They're like, what are you talking about?
Like I don't got nothing
But the
left
good,
for a handstand.
right. But the cool thing is they come back. And they came back
Yeah.
every single day. Because and then they'll tell me they came back, sent me messages once they were home. It's like, you change a whole mindset on how we go about this workout. Because in our mind,
Hmm.
that was the workout, not realizing that we will benefit from building the actual structure and the strength to make everything that we do that is advanced look easy.
Right. Right. That makes complete sense, and I mean, because that's how I try to like approach the training that I do as well. I mean, I do, you probably seen I do a lot of like body weight, mobility, crawling around, moving around on the floor sort of stuff, as well as the mace work. And, um, a lot of people always see the end results, like what you're doing with the mace. And I keep telling them, like, man, it's not really so much about the mace as it is about my body and making sure my body functions properly so that I can do this stuff with the mace. And that's how it looks cleaner when you actually, train the body to be able to perform when it's necessary. So
Exactly.
that's pretty cool to see that concept transcending into every kind of element.
And I mean, most of us come from bodybuilding backgrounds also. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
have family members that did bodybuilding, competed bodybuilding. So, and then while I was in the military, I did a lot of bodybuilding, but I would always do pull-ups, push-ups, dips, squat, free
Hmm.
body weight squats and things like that. And it would always make me laugh that the pull-up bar was always empty. So I would be that guy. They used to always call me the guy in the gym that paid a membership to do pull-ups.
Right.
I'm like, I like to mix my workout. I don't limit myself to any one particular workout, but I will always say calisthenics will always be my foundation, my core, and that will never change because it makes me
Hmm.
stronger in everything.
It's I think it's one of those things that it takes some real serious commitment. I mean, I don't like you have to. I feel like you have to really be committed. When I see people doing, you know, human flag and all these different things, I'm like, man, you had to really be committed to taking the time to build something there because I see the amount of engagement you actually need to activate the core to maintain that position. It's incredible. um and I'll be the first one to tell people I don't got that. I do not have that at all. Like, I mean, I would
Yeah,
like to have that, but it takes, like I said, it takes commitment, and so
yeah.
um
It's mastering your body. It's like you said. It's like you doing a crawl or an
mhm,
animal flow movement, but precision and precisely. When you
right.
see someone crawl and you see a baby crawl, a baby's just crawling just because that's what they know. They're doing it because of
Mhm,
just mechanical skills. But you see somebody do a crawl and their hips are not swaying back and forth. It's
right.
the same thing. You can watch
Yeah.
100 people jump into a human flag, or you watch somebody just elevate. into it controlled and hold it and breathe and smile at you. You
Right.
know,
Talk to
same thing.
you.
It's just, yeah, you have to learn your body. If you don't take that time to learn your body and what activates what, and, every function, you're pretty much just wasting. You're just going through the motions. Those people don't last. But the
Hmm.
people that actually take the time to sit with someone that can teach them and or take the time to learn it, like you said, it takes a lot of commitment. And calisthenics
Right.
can be a humbling thing, especially a pull up, because when
Yeah.
a man can do pull downs with 400 pounds, but that's
Right.
cables and pads and support. And I love to teach women to do pull ups because most men
Hmm.
think they know it all. Most men think they know it all already, you know.
Hmm.
So it, like I say, it always starts with, well, actually, before even the grip strength, just your position, your hand positioning, because most people don't even consider, their shoulders. There's a lot of people with shoulder impingements and things like that,
Right.
and 9 times out of 10, because they're just jumping into it incorrectly. So just learning to stay in a dead hang, being able to stay in a dead hang, learning to retract and initiate the pull have always been the start of it, and learning to engage your core and everything else. I think the hollow body is slightly advanced for most people that are just learning to do a pull up. It's almost a misstep. I think a hollow body is actually a more advanced body positioning when you're just teaching somebody
Hmm.
for the first time. If you could just get them to initiate the pull, then you work from that, and then you get them to start learning how to engage their core more by keeping their legs straight and so forth. But I think
Hmm.
it's empowering to just get somebody to get their chin near the bar. I've
Hmm.
seen it 100 times. When you see somebody just get a pull up, just their first pull up. You don't want to discourage that by saying, okay, but I need you to have your legs straight. I need your core engaged and everything else. I
Right.
want them to walk
Right.
away with that accomplishment and then come back, and then we work on all the little intricacies.
Yeah. The for me, you talked about shoulder impingement there for a minute. I've got a right shoulder impingement, and it kind of came from years of bench pressing, you
Okay.
know, and I got tight lats as well. So for me, I've spent like the better part of the last 4 or 5 months, just really deciding definitively to take time to try to repair that, try to fix that, as much as I can on my own because I don't want to have surgery.
Right.
So just about 3 or 4 months ago, I couldn't even hang.
Mm.
It was that bad that I couldn't hang anymore. And late last week, I got on the rings and I hung without pain. And I was like, oh my God, I'm somewhere. I'm here. And then I got on the bar and I hung there and I was like, no pain. And so I'm like, all right, I'm back somewhere. I'm back to a space where I can kind of restart. And I think you're right that that initiation of the pull is huge because for me, what I found happen is my scapula stopped doing what it's supposed to do. So I guess as I pulled, it was giving me pain because certain muscles were doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing. So kind of had a chance to through learning some different techniques to repair that and remedy that a little bit. And now I'm doing these scapular pull on the bar. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm scratching the surface again of
Right.
being able to do some pull ups. Um, but yeah, man. Let's move on to. I wanted to ask you about like just growing up in New York and the parks that you guys kind of started doing calisthenics in, and the community. Like, how has the community? I mean, calisthenics is an accessible activity, right? It's very accessible. You don't have to have money. You're in the park, so it's a community space. It's an open space. Um, how has like over time how have those spaces kind of changed for you guys as far as, you know, the calisthenics world goes?
I don't think that it has changed that much. For the
Hmm.
most part, New York especially has a lot of parks, a lot of really good parks. And
Hmm.
over the past, I would say, 4 years, they've made they've started opening a lot of newer ones. There's two that I know of that will be built within the next 2 years, and
Hmm.
maybe three that were built in the past 2 years. So
Hmm.
in every borough in New York, you can find an outdoor free fitness area. Um,
Hmm.
my home base, what we call Brotherhood, which is right across the street from Yankee Stadium, is
Hmm.
one of my favorite parks. And I literally moved back to the Bronx because they were building that park. And I have,
Wow.
I have a video log of the fact that I was the first person to ever touch those bars when they first opened it up. And I would stand outside of the gate every day watching it, just waiting for them to get open that gate. And I walked up there. It was a rainy day. I had a leather coat on and an umbrella, and it was pouring rain. And they had the gate was open. I was like, oh man! I put my camera on and I made sure that everybody saw that I touched the dip bar and the pull up bar and everything first.
First.
Yeah,
I
but
got first.
like New York is funny because like you know, growing up here, like it was in a very when I very first started this whole calisthenic journey, it was always me and my son. He was about 7 years old at the time, and
Hmm.
it would be me and him. We would just visit different parks. We would go to different parks on the weekends, and
Hmm.
it would be like the movie Warriors. Like in Brooklyn, you had your Beast Mode and Barbarians, and
Yeah.
Bronx. Bronx, you had didn't really have team names. In Harlem, you had bartenders,
Hmm.
and up in Harlem, Washington Heights, you had the bar stars.
Hmm.
So for the most part, they didn't really travel that much. Every once in a while, somebody would travel to another person's park. You know, they had like Highlanders also in Brooklyn. So I made it a point to just go to all these parks and meet these people, right?
Hmm.
Right? Because I'm like, everybody's a human. They're human beings like me.
Right.
There's nobody gonna fight you over pull-ups,
Right.
right? In my mind, and I'm just coming there for a workout anyway. And
Right.
when I met them, it was exactly that. It was like playing basketball, going to a basketball court for the first time.
Right.
They would like eyeball you and watch your reps and be like, no, that guy,
Right.
he's good. You got good pull-ups. They give you a handshake,
Yeah.
like that was good.
Right. Yeah.
And then you had the right to come back every once in a while.
Right.
But it was very welcoming, you know.
Hmm.
So I didn't know why anybody else wasn't doing as much traveling as I was. But regardless of
Hmm.
what, I knew that is me, what I wanted to do, and that's what I continue to do. I even went over to the West Coast for the first time and met all of those guys. The only thing I
Hmm.
didn't do was years ago. I had the opportunity to go overseas with the Bar Stars, and I wound up handing that seat over to a good friend of mine, so he could take the
Hmm.
opportunity. Just because I thought he had a lot more to offer them as far as visually and freestyles and everything else. But
Hmm.
I still connected with these people through social media and everything else. But back to the topic, New York has a ridiculous amount of space, and like I said, it's all free and very accessible. The only thing you just have to make sure that you're out of the park at a certain time. Otherwise, the police will give you a ticket. But like in our park, it's supposed to at 10 o'clock you're supposed to leave the park, and it doesn't open until about 7 or something like that.
Hmm.
But I've been there till midnight. Sometimes the cops will come up there and just be like, what are you guys doing? And we we can literally say, oh, we're Brotherhood. We just still working out. And they'll be like, oh, okay, we know you guys. You guys are cool. So
So
if you
you
have a
guys
good
got
relationship,
cred.
like yeah, we do have a little bit, little bit, little bit. They let us be. you know,
Right. Right.
we help police the area too because at the end of the day, it's I call it my backyard, and I treat
Right.
it like my backyard. If people
Right.
are up there with their kids, we watch their kids. If a fight breaks out, we
Right.
stop the fight. Before
Right.
cops come and people get arrested, we'll stop the fight.
Right.
We want
Yeah.
everyone to feel safe, We have one area where everybody can leave their bags and wallets and coats and everything else. You know, I even
Mm-hmm.
one time was paying a kid. I gave a kid like $5. I was like, "You gonna stay here for an hour? Watch everybody's stuff. We're gonna go take a run." You know, like little things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But we just want to keep that
Yeah,
community, and every park you get that community feel. You know, you feel safe when you go to these areas,
that's
and then
nice.
you know they know that you're not there to start any trouble. You're just there to work out.
Right.
You're part of the family.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm assuming that the name Brotherhood has something has some multiple meanings when it comes to things like that, right? I'll let you
Yeah,
go
the
ahead and.
the the main the main and core reason for the name, right? Love technical difficulty. All right, yeah, yeah. The reason for the name was there were first of all a little history. The old Yankee Stadium was was in the was actually at the location where the Brotherhood Park is currently.
Hmm.
They broke it down. And they built the new stadium right across the street, and they promised to build some a track, workout area, baseball fields, handball courts, basketball courts, better than it was before.
Hmm.
So in the past, that area from about, which is 153rd Street, all the way to about 167, 170th, every basketball tournament in that area, they called it Brotherhood.
Hmm.
And it was actually a name that came from the old polo grounds in Harlem, those basketball tournaments there, where like all those old NBA guys used to play at the Rucker and so forth. They used to have that
Hmm.
name Brotherhood in that entire area. So we pretty much just wanted to keep that name alive,
Hmm.
right? The history. One of the members of our what we call the Brotherhood family, Scott. Like I was thinking about, you know, what should we call it? The first thing he said was Brotherhood, and it only made sense because that's where the area was. So
Hmm.
of course we have women that are part of the Brotherhood family. Like, why you gotta call it Brotherhood? What about sisterhood? So it was like we just try to keep the legacy alive. We just transitioned
Right.
it from sporting events and adding calisthenics to that sporting, sporting feel. But Brotherhood
Right.
makes sense. It just keeps me in the mind of, family. And that's what we want it to
Yeah.
be like, a family. You want to call everybody your brother and your sister, as
Yeah.
opposed to N word, this and all that stuff. We just want to keep
Yeah.
it real family, real familiar, real comfortable. So that's what it
That's
is. It's
pretty
pretty much
cool.
just the area. It's pretty much the area. That's where the source of the name coming from.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I like what you said about, traveling around and meeting the people too. I mean, I got this. Um, we don't have calisthenics. Like calisthenics is, I mean, there's some people here that do calisthenics, but I mean, you probably know more better than I do. I don't really see a lot of people in San Francisco doing calisthenics. There's a few guys that I know that are kind of, doing some, but we also don't have parks
Right.
that are built for that. And for the life of me, I do not understand why. It took me, I drove to like 6, 7 parks before I found a pull-up bar one day, and I was like, I just wanted to do pull-ups on a pull-up bar outside, and I was like, why can't I find one, close to my house? So it's really strange, here in San Francisco that we don't have that, and then we also don't have that culture of like the kind of calisthenics culture here. Southern California seems to have a little bit of it, and like you said, you came out to the West Coast as well. But that was a question I wanted to get to as well. So you engaged with everybody around the community in the different boroughs, having different groups. Um, is there like a competitiveness between groups and, not only locally, but, from city to city and things like that? How does that kind of shape up?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's it's only natural. I mean, it's a male-driven sport, so testosterone is very high, and we have battles. But
Hmm.
like I remember I met some of the guys on the West Coast, right? And one guy just came out to me. He was like, "Look, I've seen a lot. I've seen a couple videos, and I know people do editing here and there. But are you guys mad at each other? And I get where he came from, because there was like some footage out of, like, there was a contest and guys were screaming at each other, right?
Right.
But it was out of context.
That's how we
They,
do that.
yeah, exactly. You know, but there will always be a competitive spirit. I mean, it only makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
better than you. Prove it.
Right.
And but at the end of the day, it might seem like a lot of animosity and everything else, but it's proven on the bars. If
Yeah.
you're better than me, get one person from your team to judge. I'll get one person from my team to judge. We'll set the timer, and we'll prove it. So that birthed the competitive aspect of it.
Hmm.
If you're supposed to be this person and you're better than this person, prove it. Talk is cheap. So we used to initiate battles like through social media. Say somebody said, "Oh, I don't like this guy because da 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 da." Okay, see you in the park this weekend, and we'll show up with our team. They'll show up with their team. Everybody start talking
Right.
trash, and we'll work out. And at the end of the
Right.
day, we'll give each other a pound, go about our business.
You're too tired to do anything else. You didn't worked out. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, we've had some legendary battles. It's like, just like with especially with Team Beast Mode in my team,
hmm
Brotherhood
hmm
and Team Blackout. We would go to Brooklyn and we would battle it out for hours, man. I remember we had some legendary battles.
Yeah.
And they won a couple, we won a couple, and it was great. It was
Yeah.
all in good fun. Everybody walked away with, and then we talked trash the next week. We do it again.
Right.
But it was, like I said, nobody ever fought, and
Yeah.
it was all love. But in anything sports related, there will be competition. As
Right.
long as you can hash it out in a reasonable way, and
Right.
the way it should be on the apparatus that'll prove who's better.
Right. Um, so what about Push the World? You're part of the Push the World thing. I'm not familiar with the details of it. Um, I know it's a tour, and I think I've seen you down in Florida,
Yeah.
and you kind of travel with that. What can you explain to everybody what that's all about?
Yeah, push the world is a project. Is a project. This is just this is just a start. Like, we
Hmm.
have major plans for it, but it came about because a lot of people think that I'm the owner of Pushing Weight. I'm not the owner of Pushing Weight, but I get that a lot, and I don't have no problem people seeing me as that, because I've been working with Push the Weight for a very long time. It all started when uh, they would come to contests. They've been part of the calisthenic culture from the very start, since the very first calisthenic freestyle contest and
Hmm.
a couple of the reps contests. Pushing Weight has been there since the very, very start. They've made the T-shirts for the events. They sponsor the events. So as I started competing and I won a couple times, they would usually just give me apparel. They give me a sweater or a T-shirt or something like that, just to represent their brand. Just to be like, hey,
Hmm.
you did pretty good. And then my team, Brotherhood, we would do community events where we go talk to kids at schools, and we did anti-bully rallies and different things like that. Pushing Weight was doing the same thing at school, so we connected, and I started going with them as a representative to talk to kids at schools.
Hmm.
So we both had a bad experience with a company, right? We were both working with the same company, and we both had the same bad experience. Like, we both left the situation with a bad taste in our mouth, and had the need
Hmm.
to branch out on our own with our own ideas.
Hmm.
And we sat down and spoke, and we pretty much had the same thing in mind of just spreading fitness to everyone, not only the
Hmm.
athletes, but to just anyone walking by. Just challenge them to do something out of the box,
Hmm.
get moving, do something, and give them some apparel on the way. So we started it last year. We started with Chicago, and went out to Chicago with just like some towels. I met up with the Go Infinite guys out in Chicago, and we did a little workshop um, in one of the parks in downtown Chicago, and it was pretty cool, you know, because
Hmm.
it was like pretty much a pop up. So I did a quick little workshop, ran the Go Infinite guys through a quick routine, picked the winner and everything else, filmed that. So we figured the next one was going to be in New York. We have, well, first of all, what we do at the event is we challenge you to do a routine. Most of the time,
Hmm.
it's going from doing a pyramid from 1 to 10, then 10 to, like, yeah, just going from 1 to 10. So you do one push up, one squat, two push ups, two squats, just different routines, all body weight
Right.
stuff. Or you can challenge someone else. If you challenge someone else, you had to do 55 push ups. So the first one to 55 push up wins. And you win points. You get a little
Right.
card. That card's worth 10 points. You build it up, and each item on the table is worth a certain amount of points. So a hoodie might
Hmm.
be 200 points. You just keep doing exercises until you get to 200 points. so, so, like I said, like it's still a learning process, but like especially the New York one, a lot of people came out. We even did a yoga and boot camp in
Hmm.
before the event even started, and then I handpicked a couple athletes to just put head to head, including a team event where they had to do a certain routine and then run a lap around the track, and
Hmm.
it turned out amazing. So we took it to Florida, teamed up with the Bar Stars. Yeah, any space, any country or any city we go to, we link with the team or entity that's there just to keep
Hmm.
that community feel to it. So we link with Bar Stars. They having their freestyle event, and we did the whole push the world thing again, where we had them do exercises for merchandise,
Hmm.
and it's been going really good. We have plans this year to go to California. We're supposed to be working on Vegas and a couple other places, but New York is definitely back on the cards. Chicago's back on the cards again, and Miami again for this year, and working on bigger
Nice.
things. Right now, some of the colleges here in New York are actually signing us up to bring Push the World to their college.
Oh, wow.
So so that's
That's pretty
that's
cool.
all in the works, and I have a couple surprises coming up really soon, like in the next couple months. But it's all competitive things. Because I say we want to. This is just the start of it. The Push the World tour that everybody has seen is just the very very small part of what I have planned for this whole thing.
Nice. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what it
it'd
is.
be
It's just
great
about
to,
building a community.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, just getting people to move more is great. And I think, I mean, what you do, like you said, calisthenics is mobile. You don't have to. I mean, I'm limited. I can do my body weight stuff in other places, yeah, but movement stuff. But I'm limited when it comes to like a mace. Like if you don't have maces there when I get there, then pretty much we're not gonna be working out with maces. So
Right, right.
it's a limiting factor in being able to train that sort of thing. Maybe one day, maces will be like kettlebells, and they'll be, every spot you go to, they'll be there. But I hope that that'll be the case. But you know, definitely calisthenics is a good way to get everybody involved in something. Because everybody can use their body to do something, a little something.
Right. Right. And still keep it fun, because like at the on the tour, a lot of people come with their kids, so I had to do like a kids event. But
Mm,
also want to get the kids to go up against their parents, you know? Just
right,
challenge them. Just get them to. You're gonna do a workout. We want you to do
right.
a workout. Come win this wristband. That's another thing too. You can't even get a wristband without giving me 20 push-ups. You know, and
So
then
you got
there's
to at
no.
least have a baseline.
Yeah, yeah. I need something. Like I want some work from you. That's the whole goal from the whole tour. Is just we want you moving, want you active, And if you want anything else from there, speak to us. We'll get you in a workshop or something.
Hmm. What so I don't like we didn't really jump into uh I mean, we kind of scratched the surface of it a little bit with, asking about how the parks have changed, but has in New York City how has the gentrification in general of the city impacted, if at all, impacted the calisthenics world, um, as far as being able to be at the park, or being able to live in the same neighborhood anymore, and things like that, and have access to the park anymore, because you may not be living there. How's that
Yeah,
affected the different groups?
it 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 just pretty much changed the face of the park, pretty much. But for the most part, the people moving in don't go to the parks. You know, they don't if they because some of the parks in their playground, so you see them there with their kids and so forth.
Hmm.
But it's not a situation where they're like complaining and then cops are showing up and there's a bunch of scary guys in the park. You know,
Right.
for
With
the most part,
muscles.
I haven't heard any horror stories like that.
uh
And like it's they pretty much just stay away. They'll pass by and look. And it is that situation where like the face of the community is changing, but
hmm
it's still our park. It's still a free
hmm
space to train and work out, and
hmm
most people still want to go to gyms. They think
Right.
that's the only thing they can do. And another point is a lot of these guys in the park are starting to train these people.
Right.
So it's opening some opportunities for them because they're
Right.
walking by and they're like, how this guy get in such great shape?
Right.
So they come and they're curious and they ask. So for the most part, it hasn't affected it in any major way
hmm
because the city has a pretty decent initiative to build these parks. And
hmm
if they build them, they expect them to be utilized. And like I said, as long as you're staying within the rules, why, you're not there late, you're not doing anything outside of the law while you're there, and it works out great. I've never had any instances where I didn't feel comfortable in my
hmm
neighborhood park, not even my neighborhood park, in any park,
Right.
you know.
Well, that's
So
cool. That's
I
good
don't,
to
I
know.
don't, I think there's so much of them that it's not even bothered. Like even in Central Park where they have pull-up bars, it's still the same situation.
Hmm. Um, on that note as well, being uh, a part of RedFit and being people's trainer as well, kind of just thinking about like the world we live in of certifications and things of that nature. And I just wanted to get your take or your thoughts on. Um, I mean, I've seen now people are offering calisthenics certifications. So, how do you, I mean, and it's pretty open ended to say how do you feel about that.
Right.
But I mean, what do you kind of think about being a certified calisthenics instructor, or
I
something
think
like that?
when the first certification came out, I thought it was a joke because um, I get why. I guess I know somebody figured they could capitalize on this, but any NASM ACE certification should qualify you to teach calisthenics,
Hmm.
right? In my opinion, I mean it makes sense to me because they teach you basic movements.
Hmm.
There's no gym other than specific gyms like my friend's Chris's Denex gym in Florida that is considered like a calisthenic gym. He has other weights and everything there, but you go there, you it looks like an outdoor park. It looks like a jungle gym.
Hmm.
So I can understand why he would have a calisthenic certification because he has an
Hmm.
indoor facility that is mostly bars that is used for calisthenics.
Right.
There are hundreds and thousands of outdoor facilities, and if I'm there with five people, you can't tell me that I need to be certified to instruct these people in natural movements if I already have, like a certification that covers weights and everything else.
Right.
Like I said, I just think it's just a way of capitalizing. But I met a friend of mine that you know, he went and got a calisthenics certification. And I'm asking him, like, you know, so where are you gonna work? You know, you got that certification and just that one alone. What do you plan on
Right.
doing? And he's like, well, you know, I plan on just doing my own business. I said, you plan on teaching them outside? Well, yes. I said, okay. Why did you get the certification?
Right.
Because what are you going to do in the wintertime? You're going to still take them outside? I don't think you're going to get 5 women to bundle up and work out with you for an hour outside. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense to me to get a certification like that. I actually was in the process of writing one myself back when it first came out. Then it just hit me that it didn't make any sense. I mean, they have
Mm-hmm.
like advanced calisthenic certification. I think Al Cavadlo has a certification like that where they teach you like handstands and human flags and stuff like that. And I get it,
Mm-hmm.
but again, where are you teaching it? Because most certifications are used for gyms.
Mm-hmm.
Calisthenics is something that's free and accessible to everyone.
Right.
You know, by adding a certification to it, is someone actually going to police training in parks? I don't see it happening. And
Yeah.
there was some sort of initiative to actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't doubt they'll try, but don't, I wouldn't pay for a calisthenics certification.
That would, I mean, you're right. It would be too hard to govern. I mean, they don't
Yeah,
even govern. They don't really even govern. You know, ACE, NASM, any of that stuff either.
exactly, exactly.
To like in general, I mean, I think when you talk about if you want to work at like Equinox or you want to work at one of these places, yeah, you got to have what's kind of comes down from IDEA or URSA or whatever organization is kind of saying like all the gyms should have this. But if you work at an independent gym, it's pretty much up to that gym's owner to decide what the, you know, standard is or if they even have a standard.
Right.
So, and then if you work outdoors, like, I mean, I don't see any real barrier to entry there other than knowing how to do something
Right.
on the bars.
Yeah. Yeah. It, like I said, I understand why they did it, but I don't see how it's going to work for something that's so accessible. You know,
Hmm.
I mean,
I mean, I could see trying to learn for myself, like if you have a structured way for me to learn how to do handstands, or you have a structured program and protocol for me to like learn how to do uh, pull-ups or human flag, all these different things. I would think that, you know, that's useful. That's useful
right,
information.
right.
But whether it's certifiable or not is questionable.
Yeah. Because I mean, most of those things that you said, handstand stuff like that, you learn in a workshop, a hand balance workshop.
Mhm.
You know, that's like a three
Mhm.
hour workshop with someone that has some form of gymnastic training or something like that. But like you said, is it certifiable? I mean, now they have parkour certifications.
Mhm.
You know, which which again, this is free form. It's supposed to be free. I can
Right.
understand they teach you how to move your body better. Like it's almost like learning move
Right.
that. You know,
Right.
how to move better, more efficiently, things of that nature. That makes sense
Yeah.
all the way. And they have parkour gyms, and they have
Yeah.
also have American Ninja Warrior training and things like that.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I kind of get it when it comes to that, but
Yeah.
parkour as an art form, it's supposed to be free expression. I can understand
Right.
teaching the fundamentals,
Yeah.
but
But I think the fundamentals are in, like you said, like the fundamentals of parkour. If you did MoveNat,
mhm,
you could probably do parkour, or
right,
you'd have a baseline
right,
for parkour. If you did any sort of low basic level movement stuff, like if you were a uh, capoeira person. You know, maybe you have like a baseline of movement that then if you went out to do parkour with a bunch of parkour guys, you would probably be able to kind of work your way into it easier than say the average person.
Right.
So I mean, I get the need for some structure. Mike is saying Strong First has a body weight training cert.
Yeah,
It
I
teaches
saw
pretty
it.
good principles. Yeah, I mean, I think having principles is always a good thing too. You're right. I mean, because I'm sure if I came to you and was like, "Hey, I want to get into calisthenics," you're going to teach me like some fundamental stuff.
Right.
So that fundamental stuff, it then kind of teaches me how application, right? Like, you know, I may have learned this stuff in NASM, but I didn't know how to apply it, right? So now
Right.
you're teaching me like, oh, you can apply this to that, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know how I should be doing that instead.
Yeah. But then, see, my whole thing with those certs is, I don't see any gym looking at someone walking in with only a calisthenic certification. It's like, okay, there's a
Right.
spot for you here at our gym. It's like, no, not
Yeah.
with all these weights.
Yeah.
We're making the money off these treadmills over here, though. You know.
Right.
So it's kind of conflicting. Like I said, if your goal is to open a gym, and
Hmm.
and part of it is teaching people calisthenics, absolutely. If you feel the need to get that foundation and structure and
Hmm.
things like that, by all means, but don't expect to go work for a gym with a calisthenic certification.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. It's definitely got to just be one of the tools in the belt,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to being the main thing.
Definitely.
Um, like an accessory tool. Um, so where do you see like push the world sounds like where you see calisthenics going actually. So I was going to ask that question
Well,
more directly. Where do you see calisthenics kind of going forward? Because I mean, like you said, it came from I used to see those videos on YouTube to now, it's I don't know if it's as it's popular. I definitely think it's reached more people than it did then.
right.
Um, but still not. It still hasn't kind of hit that mainstream or where do you
No.
see it kind of going?
Yeah, it definitely hasn't hit I say the true mainstream. It's still underground, as far as I'm concerned. And there's two factors when you say the word calisthenics, because the most popular aspect of it is the freestyle,
Hmm.
right? They call it street workout and different things like that. But I call it freestyle. Freestyle is the most popular part and was one of the things that propelled it to popularity, because you saw
Hmm.
these people doing all these different moves and fancy things and everything else. But that is separate than the rep competitions. The freestyle is great, and I think what I don't know is how far freestyle is gonna go, because I
Hmm.
think at this point it has hit a peak, and they're pretty much looking for the next big popular guy or somebody that does the next crazy move to
Hmm.
take it any higher, because they're having huge contests overseas, with major companies backing it, the whole 9 yards. They have huge venues. They're making venues out in Dubai to hold these contests, building arenas and the whole 9 yards. And these guys are getting nice endorsements. They're being featured in Men's Health magazine, and I think Barstool's wearing Forbes, and you name it.
Wow.
And they have millions, hundreds, millions of followers. I think Barstool's puts up a video and it gets a million follows in a day. I mean, a million views in a day, which is
Wow.
fantastic compared to where like where I saw them start from. It's amazing.
Right.
What I would like to see, and what I'm actually working towards, is the actual sport aspect of this calisthenics. I literally
Hmm.
want to make this the alternative to CrossFit.
Hmm.
Just like how CrossFit is a sport, I think there's room for calisthenic to be seen in that same way. We
Hmm.
organize it, have sponsors, the whole 9 yards, people sign up, register. It's a lot more accessible to many people. It's not going to cost you as much as CrossFit,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to hold
Mm-hmm.
quality competitions and present it in a way where people see that this thing is actually good. When you go to these contests, you get that same drama as watching a CrossFit event, minus the weights.
Right.
Their weights, might
Right.
do weighted competitions, but it's still, body weight movement, just added weight.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think there's multiple directions we can go, but I want to push the sport aspect of this because there's a lot more longevity in the sport aspect, and still have a freestyle added to it, because they can be freestyle
Mm-hmm.
events can happen at a rep contest. It's just part of the
Right.
culture, still part of the culture.
Right.
Free expression and everything else. So
Yeah.
that's the end goal of what I want to see with this, and probably when it does happen, because it will happen, that's when I'll back. Oh, finally, I might retire once it happens, because I plan on competing until I'm about 100 years old. but that's the way I want to see this thing going, and it will get there. If
Right.
I have anything to do with it, it will get there.
Yeah.
Just the whole
I
sport aspect.
I think what you described is almost similar to what's happening, like I think very rapidly, even in the mace training world. Like you have, the strength training aspect of the tool. You have the swings, the 360 and the 10 to 2, which, you know, uh, people have made into competition. So reps competition, how many in 5 minutes, how many swings can you get, weighted with a certain amount of weight, based on your ratio of reps. I'm not sure if they've done weight categories yet, as far as like how much you weigh, and then swinging the weight as well. And then you have a lot of people who are into, steel mace flow work, and to varying degrees even as well. Because I mean, for me, like steel mace flow, as I flow, I'm more focused on each individual movement and kind of being deliberate about what I'm doing, whereas someone else may be a little bit more free flowing, a little bit more artistic with what they do. So you have a range even within that. So I think it's interesting because it's very similar, like kind of if you look at both things side by side, is same but similar but different.
Right. Yeah. This. I mean, they say it's just adding, just like they have the kettlebell events. So
Hmm.
like I said, steel mace may transition into that also. Because I mean, it
Right.
would only make sense. It would make sense that
Yeah.
like steel mace becomes like these kettlebell. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but yeah, the kettlebell competition.
Kettlebell sport. Yeah, kettlebell sport is
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
a
the sport of it.
pretty popular thing these days as well. So, and that's
Yeah,
that's different than like the strict form of kettlebell swinging and kettlebell
right,
movement. And then you've also got kettlebell flow. So you got people doing different flows with lighter weight kettlebells. So
right. Yeah,
it's
tricks
I mean
flipping
I
it
think
and
it's
stuff like
all
that.
like yeah. That's I think it's all very similar kind of like paths, as far as the individual disciplines go, which is really interesting to hear and find out. And yeah, we've come up on the 1 hour mark, and um, it's been times kind of flown by. Um, but yeah, it was really good to finally connect with you, man, and really get to know more about exactly what you do. And like I said, I kind of just see you and everything from a distance. And I think not having a clear understanding of what it is you actually are doing. And I mean, I truly had no idea. Everybody was like, man, Quincy is OG in the calisthenics world, man. And I was like, I mean, I don't know much about calisthenics. So, like I said, the only thing I knew was Calisthenics Kings and Bar Stars, and um, just seeing those old videos, and, to hear that, you know, you were a part of that is just pretty, you know, amazing and pretty crazy. Because when I first started watching those videos, I was actually living in Thailand, and so I was so far away from, so far removed from even connecting with anybody who was in any of those YouTube videos. So
Right.
it seemed like a world away from me. I was like, man, I don't. New York is like the other side of the earth, you know. So um, it's really good to like kind of come full circle from seeing those videos, which you were probably in some of them, and now actually being, you know, on a call and definitely linking up in February.
Yeah.
Don't ask
Yeah.
me to do pull-ups. Just don't ask me to do pull-ups.
No, I'll never. I don't force anybody to do anything. You'll just get inspired.
I'm gonna be like, man, I don't know what you thought, but I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm not strong at all.
Yeah, man, it's
um,
a, it's love, man. It's all love. This is just calisthenics is just my new thing. I consider it because I have passions about many
mhm,
things. I've always been into sports, and this is my new sport.
mhm. Cool, cool. All right, man. Well, you know, it was good rapping with you. I'm gonna go ahead and put all the links sent over to me, and make sure everybody goes and checks out Brotherhood. What was your YouTube channel again?
Um, Quincy Brotherhood. Put in Quincy Brotherhood,
Quincy
you'll
Brotherhood.
find me. It is so old. There's
I think somebody.
such old footage. I like,
um,
yeah,
and
YouTube.
then
I
everybody
don't
can
even
find you
post
on
YouTube
Instagram,
anymore.
right?
Yeah, Instagram is where all my new content is. Just go to my. Don't even forget about YouTube. But Q
Forget
France,
about.
Q France, yeah, or on Twitter at Quincy France one. But just go to Instagram.
All right.
Everything's on Instagram.
Yeah,
Right
everybody's
here
on
on
Instagram
Facebook.
nowadays. I still go to YouTube. I still go to YouTube for stuff, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I try.
everybody's on Instagram these days.
I need two more. I need two more. That's why I like hang out with bar stars. I just pop up in their videos every once in a while, steal some of their
I like
viewers.
that.
Let's hang out with the popular people.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta hang out with more popular people these days. All right, man. Well, it was good rapping with you. I know it's getting pretty
It's
late
been a
back
pleasure.
there. It's been a pleasure talking to you too, man. I'll talk to you
Yeah, we
soon.
link up in February, brother. Take it easy.
For sure.